my professional background, I went to school, went to Ohio State for a little bit, got out of Ohio State. I ended up going to Liberty University in Virginia. I got my degree. Then I ended up getting my master's degree from Liberty University as well in communication and human services. And currently, right now, I'm a licensed clinical social worker and mental health. Um, Mental health has always been at the forefront of the black communities. The problem with the black community is that we don't think that we crazy. They don't think that they need help. You and I was talking earlier today about especially black men. You know what I'm saying? If you tell a brother, hey man, won't you go talk to somebody? Won't you go seek some therapy? You know what I'm saying? Get some cognitive behavioral therapy or something. Go to some group sessions. First thing a brother, and I've had some of the homies tell me, ball, that. I ain't crazy. You know what I mean? I don't need that. You know what I'm saying? But they're not realizing that they're dealing with all sorts of traumas. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot of black men, they deal with trauma in their lives just from being a black man, in society. We don't realize that, the police, do you guys get a little anxiety when the police get behind y'all?
I would say, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I would say, in my early days of stomping a neighborhood, typically, hell yeah, it would be, you get them butterflies and that nervousness when you see them boys get behind you, and especially when they ain't even ran the lights yet, they just following you for a minute. You start anticipating the pullover. You feel me?
But see, that's trauma right there. You dig what I'm saying? We go outside the pad. One of the things that I tell my son all the time is that, make sure you keep your head on the swivel. And I teach him how to deal with the police if they do with him. He's a productive young brother. He ain't never been in no trouble or nothing. Me, myself, and all his uncles, you know what I'm saying? We was gang bangers, not gang members, gang bangers. There's a difference. You know what I'm saying? I'm part of the Zipper Club, you know what I mean? And kind of, dish it out myself. A lot of people don't realize that all that shit that we used to do back in the days is affecting us mentally today. You know what I'm saying? And we refuse to seek help for our traumas that we've been dealing with. Deaths, up relationships. I can go on, racism, systemic racism. You understand what I'm saying? These are traumas that black men and women deal with. Black women are dealing with trauma right now, and they don't even realize it. They talking this right now. That's why I used to love the brother Kevin Samuels, rest in peace. A lot of these independent black women right now, let me say this, black women, demographically, these sisters is out here doing their thing. So we got to tip our hats off to them. They out here getting educated, getting their master's degrees. They out here getting this money. They doing what they do. You understand what I'm saying? They talk that shit. They don't need a man. But what happens is they not realizing that they're dealing with the traumas of their relationships with us.
And oftentimes, I notice in the black community, black women is taught by their mothers, oh, you don't need a man. I know, me and our producer, we was talking earlier, we both from Cleveland, and I would have it was generations of people, man. I would see generations of people, man, where the grandma stayed in the house. Didn't have no man. Then she have a daughter. The daughter grew up, have kids. They don't have no man there. They all living together. But they all got a whole church full of kids, right? It's a bunch of kids in there, man, and they all kind of taught that they don't need a man in their life.
Well, I think this is the thing still. It's, the thing is you do have those particular situations where some sisters grew up in households where, like as you're saying, that they seen that their grandmother didn't have a man, probably died alone. But you still have a bunch of brothers and sisters who actually grew up in two-parent household, two grandmother and grandfather households like I did. You understand what I'm saying? So I understand what a traditional, healthy relationship looks like.
I grew up in a single family house. I mean, my parents were together for a time before they got divorced. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know how it was for you growing up. You know what I'm saying? What you saw in the household.
Well, I grew up in a two-parent household.
And how was it for you?
I had a stepfather. See, my stepdad, I got my stepdad's last name.
Okay.
because I went to school one day and I kept wondering why my last name was one thing and my brother's. And I asked my mama one day, I said, hey, how come their last name is this? How come we don't all have the same last name?
How old were you when you asked her that?
Man, I was about 8 years old. And then what my stepdaddy did, he heard that. And my mama just told me this, man, that my stepdad, he went in the newspaper and went in his little cigar box where he kept his money at and went and got an attorney, went and ran the ad in Ohio where my real dad was at. He went to Akron and ran the ad in Summit County so he could see and contest it if he wanted to. That nobody ever contested. So he took me to the place, and all I remember is putting my hands up, making this oath. My last name has been Steele from then on. But
So was that because moms and original pops was never, and it was just what it, or was it abuse? Was it moms was like, I got to get the hell away from this dude?
I'm gonna tell you, it was, and just for the record, me and my biological father have a great relationship now. He a whole different man. He was a young dude when all this was happening, so we been forgave him for all that, right? But at the time, it was some abuse.
Okay.
My pops like to put this, what I'm saying, that's what they did.
But a lot of us, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of us that came from that. Mm-hmm. You get me?
Yeah. Those abusive relationships.
My father was, went to the military, was in the Navy, you know what I'm saying? Worked at General Motors and all of that. But sometimes, it'd be situations to where, it just don't work. So moms left. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, it might have been physical and abusive. And even though moms left and it was me and my sister and my brother and, you never saw any significant, like, I didn't get no stepdaddy. You get me? It was, I was on the block, man. So I don't know if I saw, or took what I saw as a kid in the household with my parents and that reflected on me because I didn't take that route, some dudes took when it came to females. And my household, it was my mama, my sister was older. The attitude wasn't fuck a nigga in the household because we came from a different generation of parents.
She didn't want to convey that message.
Moms, my moms came from Mississippi. So you got to understand, growing up in that time, in the 40s and 50s and shit,
it was
different. It wasn't like, the dude left the household or whatever and it became this, I don't need a mother nigga or fuck a nigga, whoop-de-whoop. It didn't have that attitude. So I didn't see that, growing up, cool. Where even though it didn't work out, it was like, oh no, or my sister was taught, fuck a nigga out there. You don't need no nigga.
It wasn't like that in my house either, man.
My sister, she's been married to her husband for decades. Get me?
But see, some of these relationships teaches us, you understand what I'm saying, how to actually go into a relationship and learn how to deal with not only the good, but the adversities of the relationships. A lot of people are staying together longer. I'm glad that Eiht said that because I grew up in a household like you still where my younger brother's dad was the stepdad, but I was never really receptive to this motherfucker. You know what I mean? Because I had two older brothers who I looked up to as a dad because our father wasn't worth the You dig what I'm saying? So my dad taught me what not to be.
And that's the same thing too, even though my dad is probably the greatest grandfather in the world now.
Right.
And he wound up being
but why do we have that though? Why do you think that generation and era of men and fathers were, like you said, it wasn't like,
I'm gonna tell you what I learned, what I got from it, and this is how I got
to the mental health.
Right.
Yeah, and this is how I got to get to being cool with my dad, right? When I found out that my dad, you got to understand, my grandmother, when my grandfather came from Memphis, Tennessee,
Yeah.
He had a whole nother family down there. And he came up north, met my grandmother, and I think had 14 kids. They 14 kids between my dad and them. So it was a time to where grandpa would just disappear sometimes. I'm talking about 6 months a year. So my grandmother
Go to
was
that
trying
other
to take care of
family,
18 kids, right? And they all like a year apart. And in some cases, 9, 10 months, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy, right? So what I found out about my dad is that they spent a lot of time and, you know, they would go to the boys' homes, the foster system. And what I found out is that my dad's one of the older brothers, my Uncle Bookie, had went and got all of them because they was all separated. So he broke out of his spot, the foster home he was in. He left and went and got all his brothers and sisters and took them out to Akron. Because, you know, he had started running the streets. My uncles was hardcore pimps, you know, during that time. I had uncles, I ain't going to name all their names, but, you know, they was pimping.
Right.
So once they started getting their money up, they went and got all their brothers and sisters and went back. So I would have to say that my father was only doing, he was better than his father now, but they didn't know no better because what example did they draw from?
Well, your uncle, man, he had to know something, man, because you don't get too many people that go back and get all their siblings to keep everybody together.
And that's what it is. And to this day, they all like, sorry, you better not say nothing about his brothers or sisters. They would get into a fight with you. And the thing I learned is, I knew what I didn't want as far as me being a man. I always said, I tried my best not to have no just bunch of kids running around, right? And I knew that when I did have kids, I was going to be in their lives.
Right.
And I knew that once I had my woman, we was going to stay together through thick and thin no matter what happened.
But like I said, and I'm gonna interject back off what Eiht was saying, is that you saw some things and you seen some things and subconsciously you said, you know what, that's what I'm not going to be. Because one thing that my father did teach me, he taught me, my biological dad actually made me into the man that I am today. You dig what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I didn't want to be like this mother. You dig what I'm saying? He wasn't you know what I mean? And I told myself that I wasn't going to be like him. And I'm kind of like you. You know what I'm saying? All 3 of my kids is by the same chick. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't just out there slinging weenie and you know, having these kids by all these different personalities. You dig what I'm saying? I was responsible. You know, did my thing, you know, jumping through windows and sliding up in some bras and all that. But I always was responsible. My older brother would always tell me, Mike, keep a raincoat on you. You dig what I'm saying? And all those types of things, you know what I'm saying? So my older brother Anthony, rest in peace, man. I miss you, my brother. You know, that brother taught me a whole my older brother Anthony was my dad, man. And my older brother Levan followed suit once my brother passed away from cancer. My older brother Levan, he followed suit. And I have 5 brothers, it's 6 of us. And you know, and we kept a tight knit, such as your uncles and his siblings as well. You dig what I'm saying? And my family was a bunch of females, but all my aunts were married. And all my uncles, they were married, and some of them, the ones that are living, you know what I'm saying, they're still with their husbands today. So I know what it's like to be in a healthy and long-lasting relationship. You know what I mean? My only problem is that, you know, before I got into a relationship with my kid's mother, you know what I'm saying? Me being a Sagittarius, man, I just like women, man. You dig what I'm saying? If I could, I've had 3 or 4 wives in the house.
You know what, though, man? The thing is, I had a very strong female presence in my life, too. Like, my grandmama handled pistols. So when my dad did come over there, because he would be on some stuff to where I'm coming to get my son, and my grandmother was like, the pistol, like, no, nigga, you ain't coming up here with that, you know, popping them in there, because my dad let me know they wasn't all innocent. They shot at me. My grandmother, because at the time, I don't know if y'all remember back in the day, I'm from the Midwest. They used to have what you call outhouses.
Yeah.
You know, the bathrooms.
Mississippi, too.
You know.
Yeah.
My grandmother threw the piss pot on my dad before. He came up there talking, and they timed it. As soon as he get to the door, they just opened up the door and they threw.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
You know, so they did some crazy stuff to my pop.
That can cause hepatitis, man.
You know
yeah, they didn't give a. They was like, get your ass up out of here.
You know,
Coming around here with that.
Whistle
Look,
blow.
yeah.
I ain't seen he popping at him out there.
Niggas just
Popping
why
at him. You know what I mean?
why he running off
Why he running about the street? You know, left his card out in the street and
with piss
everything.
on him. He running off with piss and getting popped. That's up with the women wasn't playing with
I'm
him.
gonna tell you right now, that'll cause a brother some mental health issues.
You know, so I just think
having to
about
deal
all
with
this
that,
trauma.
you know.
But I'm going to tell you this. My mama will tell me to this day, she said, your dad was just young. He loved you. He just didn't know. He trying to process a situation that he don't know nothing about, right?
But that's good that mom's told you that. You know
my
what I'm
mom's
saying?
never told me. Like, my mom, she wanted me to have a relationship with my dad.
Right.
And I respect her for that because she could have easily been like, no, you ain't going to go see him. She always wanted us to have a relationship.
Well, you know what? My mother never said nothing bad about my dad either. And at one point in time, my mother had told me one day, and I think I was about 12 or 13 years old, I had just started stealing cars for the homies. And she was like, my dad had came through and I was really eager and happy to see him at that particular time because I hadn't seen him in a while. And my mother said, you really love your dad, don't you? You know, I mean, yeah, you know, it's my dad, you know. And she said, but you're going to find out one of these days. That's the only time that I remember my mother kind of putting a hypothetical in my head about this motherfucker. You know what I mean? You know, but she never said nothing bad about him. Never said nothing bad about him. It wasn't until I started getting older and I started seeing when I had my daughters and I had my sons, hey man, come on down. My daughter's about to graduate from 6th grade. Okay, son, I'll be there. This motherfucker gonna show up. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Dad, come on down. Mikey, my only boy, you know, he's having a birthday party, having his 3rd, 4th birthday party. Come on down, Dad. We'd like to see you. Okay, son, I'm gonna show up. He never show. You know, never show up. You know what I'm saying? Back to the mental health part of it. You know what I'm saying? That can cause some mental health issues right there. You dig what I'm saying? And when, you know, and then when he did want to come around, come to find out this motherfucker putting this up his nose, he broke. And then when he called and he asked for something, nigga, I ain't seen you in 10 years. What the why you calling me asking me? You know what I mean? You know? And then I started realizing, I'm like, Mike, you know what? Don't let this motherfucker take you out of character. I always like to think about my actions before I do. So I just stopped with my dad altogether. My brothers in law, I have a brother named Melle as well. He live in Atlanta, Georgia. My brother Melle would always say, man, I'd ask him, man, how you continue to with this nigga? And my brother said, man, because I don't give a about him. He don't faze me. But his actions with me.
I think, you know, still, I think I came, you know, a little bit similar to your situation where, you know, you ended up having a cool relationship with your pops after the fact. I mean, same situation with me. I mean, I guess anybody, though, you know, the presence of your dad is supposed to be like just, oh, man, my dad, you know what I'm saying? Right. So, but it get to a point to where I was like you, like I don't would do. I don't. So from the transition of me starting to gang bang and all of that, I didn't with my pops at all.
See,
my sister, she like was one of them, like talk to him every day, but I don't know, I guess because of what I witnessed as a kid, you know, and the stuff that happened with moms and you know, that it like you said, it'd be like some other PTSD, you know what I'm saying, to where you be like, oh, I don't even want to go around, you know what I'm saying, because you know they do their thing, you feel me? Yeah. They might have them a little drink, a little smoke, or whatever was their vices. And as a youngster, you don't really know how to cope with that shit. You get me? To see, you know, the trauma in the household. So it really kind of, it can take you in whatever direction. You know, some people can overcome from it, and then some niggas it makes that generational transition to where now you getting on, you know, your broads, and you getting into it with your baby moms or your woman or whatever. So yeah, I took, because I was a, you know, lover of my mom. So my sister was more like, you know, when she got a little older, she was able to be neutral with it. But me, I didn't want to with him at all. And so the whole time I was, you know, from the time of like the 12s and 13 and 14 and 15 and I'm gang banging and all that, I didn't talk to my pops at all. My sister would, I talked to dad today and blah, 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 but me. And then once I started rapping, and I think I got to about maybe my 4th album, I started communicating. Because, you know, I was going places and sometimes I would be in the same town where, you know, because he was living in Oklahoma and then he moved to Louisiana and all. So, you know.
Was he familiar with your rap career?
Yeah. When I finally went to see him, he had newspaper clippings and ads and all kind of you know, Jet magazine I had been in, and, you know, when I did Menace and the awards and all that, he had paper clippings of all that. So he was definitely watching.
He was watching, yeah.
I'm pretty sure, you know what I'm saying? I had no regrets, though. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. You know, I held, you know, you hold grudges because, like I say again, that's moms. You get me? And mom, you know, your moms do so much for you.
Goddamn
as a kid, they kind of take the punches on the chin and nigga knock me down, I'm gonna get up, but I still gotta go do the feel me?
Yeah.
Whether or not you gonna help or do something or not, you know, they kind of take it on the chin. So when you a kid, that's like and that's all for you. Like that's why I was saying the situation, like we was talking before, like you can't overstep that boundary when it come to your moms. Like niggas will go through whatever, you'll go through whatever level it is, you know, when you see somebody offending, even just offending your mom.
That's the reason why the young brother popped this motherfucker. I was stealing on
you
his
be
mother,
ready to take a nigga's head off. Like, if you had that relationship with your mom, you know, and a person like me, like I said, once moms and pops split, it was just me and moms and sister.
Right.
And so whether we had to go through the struggle, the grind of, you know, trying to figure out where the bread was coming from or eating and all that. And, you know, even the trials a nigga had to go through with turning a young man, and there is no father around. You get me? So now you have to try to learn a little bit on your own and watch niggas in the streets. And then there's moms, and, you know, she's always with the positive eye, but, you know, as a slick little nigga, you think you're going to get away with some shit. So you test and test, but mom is still there. Every time I went to jail, she came to bail me out. Every time I stole a motherfucking car and it went to the impound, she got that motherfucker out. You know, so you don't, you know, the situation of that is just like, you know, what the you want me to do?
Gangster Chronicles, we gon' tell you how it goes. If I lie, my nose will grow like Pinocchio. We gon' tell you the truth and nothing but the truth. Gangster Chronicles, this is not your average show.